Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Now, US President Donald Trump has said that he would raise the tariff on India very substantially over the next 24 hours. And this was a threat given yesterday, stating that while India is set to offer the US zero tariffs under a trade deal, it would not be good enough due to its purchase of Russian oil. Now, Trump had warned that he would raise the tariff on India substantially, saying that India was not only buying massive amounts of Russian oil, but was also selling it on the open market for big profits. Now, what does this 24-hour tariff warning mean? We'll try and understand. But coming as it does, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval today is in Moscow. Pictures have flashed all across. Now, does this visit of Ajit Doval have any connections coming as it does in the middle of this tariff controversy? So we'll try and understand what does this additional tariff threat mean as it comes from Donald Trump? What could be its implications on the economy and as well as the geopolitics as far as Indo-US relations is concerned? We'll try and understand all of this. Joining me this evening is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, international affairs expert and diplomat who joins us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. We have Prasanna Mohanty, who's the business editor of the Federal. Thank you so much, Prasanna, for joining. And I'll begin with Professor Pasha. This 24-hour threat, which has been given by Donald Trump on the tariffs, what does it really mean? He has already slapped 25% tariff on India. An additional tariff means what? He's not specified how much tariff, but he's just said it in air that additional tariffs and within next 24 hours. Now, is it just to keep India guessing? Is it to keep India on the tenterhooks? Or how would actually India respond to this?
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show. You see, my own reading of President Donald Trump is that he has made tariff major plank of his foreign policy even before he became president. During the presidential election campaign, he had made that as number one agenda to make America great, and that the rest of the world is enriching itself at the cost of America by having a balance of trade surpluses. And he pointedly mentioned India several times, and that India is unduly benefiting by exporting more and not allowing enough American exports to India. So from day one, government of India has been the target, and it's no surprise that even while the Prime Minister was in Washington at the White House, he not only said more about tariff, but also that BRICS is dead and we will impose additional tariff on the BRICS countries also. So his main motive has been to open up Indian market, to force Indian government to uh, accept Indian American products, and this has been relentless since beginning. And in other cases like Canada and Mexico and European Union, Japan, he has relented quite a bit. He's paused and postponed, and he has been hesitating. But it is surprising that he is consistent in his approach towards India, and has been targeting mainly, in my view, because of two things. One is the lack of forthright response from the Indian government. Indian government has not been as forthright as, say, China. We can understand that it's a huge manufacturing giant. But even a pliant country like Japan has been, voicing its disagreement with the United States, and they refuse to talk on the terms the Trump administration was demanding. Even European Union, Canada, Mexico. So India was seen as a soft target because of our quiet approach, because we did not challenge head-on Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Indian products, and the second point is Prime Minister Modi. I think in a very hurried manner, he sought meeting at the earliest, and the joint statement then on 13th February, indicated a wide range of agreement that we would import largest quantity of oil from America and agriculture products and so on and so forth. So the Trump administration thought that they've got a license to push back on many of the things. Later on, the bureaucracy seemed to have woken up at the blank check which Prime Minister Modi had virtually given the Trump administration. So this kind of a misreading on the part of the group, a high-level group which went to the Prime Minister, they thought that this is a broad framework of issues agreed, but then the American administration thought that they have Indian agreement on all of the issues. So when we continued to buy oil from February onwards up to June, peaking at 40% of our total requirements of more than 5 million barrels per day. So the Trump administration continued to put pressure in spite of agreement. Why are you buying Russian oil? And they have been attacking left and right, not only putting pressure on India to stop oil, but also saying that you are continuing the war in Ukraine by by supporting Russia, giving oil revenues, and also making profit by importing Russian oil and selling it at exorbitant prices at the international market. And also the refined products which Reliance Jamnagar refinery has been doing both to US and the European Union. So the weakness which the American administration saw in our silence, in our perception of the strategic partnership between India and US, was perceived as weak-kneed and spineless, and this has given the Americans a handle to not only put pressure on the oil and arms from Russia, but on tariffs and on immigration issue also. All put together, now the government of India has realized that it is Operation Sindoor and praising Pakistani leadership, inviting Asim Munir to Russian oil, Ukraine. All of these are now linked up, and the Modi government has woken up from its deep long slumber. That if we don't stop the Americans in
But
their
Professor
path,
Pasha,
it will be relentless.
But Professor Pasha, if you look at the MEA briefing on Monday, they had said that this kind of a reaction coming from America is unjustified and unreasonable, and India will take all necessary measures to safeguard its national interests and economic security. Now, is that kind of a reply enough to satisfy the people who've been saying that India hasn't been taking a stand, or those kind of explanations that even European Union is doing business with Russia, even America is buying stuff from Russia. So why alone single out India? So is that reaction enough to satisfy the people?
No, it is too little and too late. That's what I'm trying to highlight. This should have come way back in March at least. We should have sent a clear message to the Trump administration. We mean business. If you threaten us with tariffs, we also have options open, whether it is to impose reciprocal tariffs on the key imports like medicine and other issues, but also to widen our market in the BRICS area. So, which now we are trying to do. Jaishankar went after 5 years after Galwan to Beijing, and now Ajit Doval is in Moscow talking with Putin directly himself. So, these are the things which we
So,
had
but
in our
Ajit
arsenal.
Doval, but as Ajit Doval's trip, was it pre-planned, or has he just gone to Moscow to convey a message to America that look, this is how we'll respond amidst this tariff controversy?
There are three things. One is to repair the Indo-Russian relations, which was under strain because of our, the Russian perceived distancing from itself, and secondly on the BRICS issue and SWIFT system, which they had proposed, alternative SWIFT system at Kazan summit last year, and also on the weapons system. We realized. after this Operation Sindhu that technologically China is far superior, and they have been tying up with Pakistan, and we should not be left behind. And lastly, that our commitment to BRICS remains enduring, because it is the brainchild of Russia, Moscow, that it should be strengthened, and Chinese are behind this. So all of these three, four factors are very important for Ajit Doval to repair the ties and remove any cloud on Indo-Russian ties. But it is timely. This should have come immediately after the threatening messages from the United States, and the US would have got a message that India has options. We are not
Right.
client state like what Pakistan was earlier, and they
So
cannot
you do,
browbeat us in
right.
diplomacy.
So you do feel that the timing of Ajit Doval's visit is perfectly fine, and this should send out a stern message to America. So how will America react now, Professor Pasha, after seeing these pictures of Ajit Doval meeting Vladimir Putin? And he has already given a 24-hour notice, which of course 24 hours is almost going to be over. So, what is he going to do, and what is Trump likely to do now? And how much could this tariff increase be? That's what everyone is worried about. 25% already plus 1% penalty just because we are doing business with Russia is already there in place. Now, how much more is he going to escalate this tariff?
You see, these high-profile visits to Beijing and Moscow are a clear message to the Trump administration that you cannot uh, run bilateral relations on the basis of threats and virtual blackmail, which Trump administration was resorting to. Even Nikki Haley has come out publicly that we should not destroy or damage Indo-American relations, which have been built over the last 35 years, if not more. So in that way, there are voices now growing within the administration that look, India is an important ally. We should not push beyond a point where it will go back to the old strategic alliances which it had with China and Russia and BRICS, which may damage. You see, all said and done, America needs India more in some critical areas than the other way around. So in that way, financially, it may be hurting. But it is empty because the bill has not been signed by Donald Trump to impose secondary sanctions on Russia, and only then it matters how much percentage, whether between 0 and 500, how much percentage we will suffer because of his eccentric policies pursued by Donald Trump. Even he himself doesn't believe, because his corporate sector is also under pressure. They are looking for Indian market, which is huge, and we have been very flexible in our trade negotiations. That
Right.
we are open, except some key areas. We are open to buying as much as possible, and I believe that the government of India is showing flexibility on the economic cooperation. But on military terms, I think Russia would be a time-tested defense supplier, and should not rock the boat with China, which is what the right policy is doing. Although it is too late, too little, but nevertheless, we are on the right track. If we have to defend our strategic autonomy, America has got the message that they cannot just bully India.
Right. So if the message is very clear and they cannot bully India, but even then, Prasanna, coming to you, what could be the implications? Because Donald Trump is very unpredictable. We do not know what is his next step going to be, and especially after seeing these pictures of Ajit Doval meeting Vladimir Putin. But how well is India prepared for an additional tariff on the economic front? I'm talking about, and what could be the implications if Trump escalates the tariff beyond what it has already slapped?
See, the existing tariff of 25% takes India out of the league uh, compared to our neighbors. Sri Lanka 20%, Bangla 20%, Pakistan 19, Indonesia 19, Vietnam 20,
Can you
and
speak a little
in the
louder, Prasanna? Can you speak a little
okay.
louder? Because, yeah.
Uh, so 25% tariff takes us out of contention in our neighborhood, competitors in textile and others, and also the developed economies, because they have 10 to 15%. In our neighborhood, we have 20% or less. So it already has taken us out of contention. Effective tariff rate uh, has gone up for electronics to 23%, auto to 24%, pharma to 25%, gems to 22%, and textile to 16%. So we are looking at a massive loss. And but that loss is not alone about exports. Export, of course, is a very big our export with uh, US is about 3.3% of our GDP at 119 billion in FY24, for which we have full fiscal data. Uh, but that is only part of the price that would be paid. There are other uh, prices to be paid. Say if you stop Russian oil because of the high tariff, then landing price difference between Russian oil and non-Russian oil is $5 to $6 per barrel. So that increases the tax cost burden by $4 to $5 billion a year. Then there are, stock market will get spooked. It's already been spooked. Market sentiments are down. FDI is already down. So that outflow would continue. FPI is now pulling out again after last year's. They would continue to do that. So there would be a cost overall sentiment. And then we have the prospect of rupee devaluing, and and yes, the government is planning massive relief packages for all the sectors. This relief promotion commission is supposed to some 2,250 crore odd package that was announced in last budget. Uh, so that would mean India would have to cut its capex expenditure, which boosts growth. Now we know private capex is not
No,
picking
but
up.
I also want to understand from you, Prasanna, that in terms of the price rise, inflation, will the common man really have to face big troubles if Donald Trump increases the tariff beyond what it is? What does it mean in terms of prices of fuel, petrol, or other commodities which are of daily use? How is all that going to get impacted? If you could explain that.
Okay. See, if we divert our oil import from Russian oil to non-Russian oil, and we imported about 33% of our total import in July, which was 45% in June. So that is going to escalate the cost of fuel. Now, petroleum, diesel, LPG, all these things. So that will have its repercussions if the government decides to let refiners to increase the cost. That is one part of it. The second is when you have export engine. It's a big growth engine, though it is not as powerful as it is earlier. But then it is contributing more than 20% to the GDP. Uh, it, its share is more than 20% of GDP. So there is a shock in the sense of growth. So that would have its own repercussions. Rupee devaluation would have its own repercussions on inflation and your mm, uh, yields for corporates also. Corporate earnings are weak already. So, and when exports are hit, then see major labor intensive like gems and jewelry and textile, they're substantial part of our export to US. This will mean a major job loss. With job loss, there would also be wage cut, and this would be a cue for even profit-making corporate whose revenue is going down now, moderated, and also profit has moderated in quarter one, uh, to further choke on wages. That would have impact on the buying power of people and demand in the economy. All these things will have a negative impact on our growth, which is 6.5 now. But as financial services predict 20 to 40 basic points without this extra penalty, 25% tariff. 20 to 40 basis point pull down in GDP would be a substantial stuff. It will bring back us to 6% or so. So there would
Right.
be impact on wages, there would be impact on jobs, impact on growth. So it's a cascading effect. A lot of things
Right.
are
Right.
interconnected.
Right. So this is all interconnected. It'll have a cascading effect, you are saying. But coming to you, Professor Pasha, that what does it mean in terms of the Indo-US relationship? Is it really on a sticky wicket, and is it very difficult now for India and for America both to, get the relationship restored to what it was? The way we are seeing a constant decadence, a constant decline, a fall in the relationship of both the countries. And what it was 6 months before, when Donald Trump got elected, we should not forget Modi was one of the first leaders who went to Washington to meet him. Then all those hugs, smiles, and all sorts of reassurances from both sides. And now where we have reached, is there any hope left now, or we are almost like falling apart?
No, I appreciate the detailed analysis of our fellow panelist Prasanna Mohanty about the cascading effect. But you see, we have to remember that we were the first country to respond to Trump's threat about tariffs even before he announced his tariff policy on China, the Mexico, Canada, and European Union. We have been very forthright and very forthcoming. A lot of flexibility has been shown, and U.S. representative was the first to fly out of the United States to the Indian capital here. So back and forth, we have been negotiating, and there is agreement on many issues. It is not that we have to worry too much about the financial implications, about the loss of jobs, and energy bill going skyrocketing. All these, of course, might happen, but it is also a fact that we are willing to go an extra mile, and Americans are also showing flexibility. This Trump threat, I don't take it seriously. I mean, in the sense, he is using this as a bargaining tool to pressurize India on a number of issues at the bilateral level, at the regional level, at the global level. So we have to see it in holistic perspective as to what is the United States aiming at. Why is Trump browbeating or trying to browbeat India? If we have shown necessary flexibility as we have, and at the same time using our diplomatic tools, whether it is China or Russia or with the global South, the necessary message is going. That you see, we have been working overtime to improve relations with the United States for the last 35 years, from Narasimha Rao to the present government. And we have gone so far in accommodating the United States on the military, economic, political, strategic, on a whole host of issues. There is wide understanding never seen in Indo-US relations. But to jettison this holistic relationship, I don't think both are contemplating any drastic change. We might tinker with some issues because of our annoyance with US policy towards Pakistan and the repeated assertions on ceasefire. But these are minor irritants. But the basic structure between Indo-US relations remains enduring, and I think Indian
Right.
government would also go an extra mile to accommodate the United States. At the same time, sending a message that we have core interest. If we stop Russian oil, can the United States supply us the quantity and at the price we want, which I don't think, or even allow us to import oil from Iran at a discounted rate, which they were offering before we succumbed to American pressure, literally on stopping oil from Iran. So all of these issues remain, and I'm optimistic, as a former diplomat should be, that Indo-US relations would weather through this cloud, very stormy cloud, I must say. And both the partners are willing to negotiate. That's the beauty of this relationship, unlike the transactional approach which we see from the Trump administration.
Right. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold in the next few hours. And who knows, there could be some tweet by Donald Trump, which might be coming just in about an hour or 2 hours. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But yes, it's a stormy situation as far as Indo-US relationship right now is concerned, and hope we are able to brace this tariff storm. We'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha. Prasanna, thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.